Hey there, guys. This is your Sensei Bob, and how you doing today? It's lunchtime again. I have no access to school. John has painted the floors, and it's heavily toxic to me. And John goes, "Oh, well, you should just sleep in the school. I can't smell it." I mean, everybody's different, and my lungs, from what I've just gone through, are quite susceptible. I'm just getting back. My flora and fauna are coming back, so my whole body is kind of susceptible to everything. And I still have more dental surgery to go through. Um, so that's my physical thing. So that's why I have to be in restaurants to get a hold of you guys. And here it is Monday, and it is Memorial Day, right? And what are we memorializing but the death of young people to the altar of blood for money, right? For a number of veterans that come to this place because there's an old folks home right across the street. They just walk over and have a meal. And so I've been coming here for a long time, so they all know me and they all like to talk. And this one guy, we talked about that, and I said, it's sad that all these young people have to die. And he was in Vietnam. And he almost started to cry. He said, I lost some of my best friends there. And I said, it's just for profit. And he goes, yeah, I know. And I said, we don't need 1,000 bases in other people's countries to keep us safe. And he goes, well, it's good to have. And I said, who are our most threatened enemies? Are Russia and China. I said, well, China, in 2017 spent $72 billion on their military, and Russia spent $60 billion on their military, and the United States spent $700 billion. And that's not including the Defense Department or any of the dark projects. So, we spend close to $1 trillion. Yeah, go ahead. A year. And what does that do? But makes the stockholders of Boeing, General Dynamics, and Lockheed, and entities of that nature very rich. And because, yeah, but it's good to have, and it's like, if people understand what it is, especially the people who have experienced war and the senseless of it. He said, I don't know why we're in Vietnam. That was the old guy who saw a lot of his best friends die there. And so he says, I always liked the Vietnamese people. And now they're one of our best allies. And that's what I'm talking about, Memorial Day. What are we memorializing? We are memorializing the inability of the citizen, today's citizen, to ferret out what's going on. When we have corporate media, when we are distracted by, hedonism. Hey, I'm a perfect example. 10 years, worked for the corporate world, in the early O's, and, gained 200 pounds and died in a plate of spaghetti. I want to show you something. This is a video off the YouTube of Jeff Daniels, who's now playing the lead role of in To Kill a Mockingbird. That's on Broadway. Right? So watch this.
Never stop bleeding. We have to make good this crime. We have to show Tom Robinson justice in this courtroom. Now we can start gathering the animals 2 by 2 because we'll be shown God's justice in a hurry. We can't go on like this. We know that. So let's hasten the change. Let's hasten the end of the beginning. Let's do it right now in Macomb. Let's begin by restoring this man to his family. Let's begin with justice.
That was Jeff Daniels in his Tony-nominated performance as Atticus Finch in To Kill a Mockingbird. The show is a stunning reminder that our hearts can be moved and our minds opened by a simple story about one man doing the right thing and conducting himself as though all of our children are watching. To Kill a Mockingbird on Broadway now is as relevant today as it was when it was written, and as important during this moment of turmoil as ever. To Kill a Mockingbird has been nominated for 9 Tonys and just recently broke the record for the highest grossing American play in history. Jeff Daniels, who stars in it, is here with us. Now, you've been warned. How I was going to be here. Thank you so much for coming anyway.
I'm happy. Very happy.
How do you guys know each other?
He's a masochist. Or a sadist.
Well, speaking of that, you have not missed a single performance.
Yeah. No, we're in our. We are in our 7th month of a year-long run, and 8 shows a week. And no, not yet. I've been sick twice.
And you've done it anyway.
Yeah. The line is, "What do you do when you get the flu on Broadway? 8 shows a week. You just do it. You just do it."
Why are you doing this show?
It's Atticus Finch. Aaron Sorkin wrote the play based on the book, and Harper Lee, Pulitzer Prize, beloved book. Revered. He is one of the iconic heroes in America. Happens to be fictional, but still, you can people put him up there with Washington and Lincoln and all of that. You get to play him. You get to become him. And every night you walk out there and we pin the ears back of basically white America. White liberal America comes in and they go, "We had no idea it was that tough." And it's a slap in the face. It's a wake-up call. It's also a decision. Atticus has to go through a change different than the book. We made him more the protagonist who has a change. And his change is, it's to David's point earlier, or to Mayor Pete's point earlier, the people on the other side, they don't have bad intentions, not all of them. Atticus believes that there's goodness in everyone. You just have to care enough to look for it. And that's being challenged now.
That's being challenged. And I get to come back and talk to you after. And I confess that it was me sobbing in the 4th row.
There was some weeping.
When Atticus is at the jail and protecting, the KKK comes. They come for him. Mm-hmm. And it's Scout that recognizes one of her hooded neighbors. Mm-hmm. And says, Mr. Cunningham. And I started sobbing. I mean, our children are watching this moment. Atticus's children are played by extraordinary actors in the play, and it is this reminder that in this moment in our politics, our children are watching.
The children are watching, and I live in Michigan, and after the election, I was surprised at some of the people. You know, I said, "Can you believe this election?" They go, "Yeah, isn't it great?" And you're going, "Whoa." My wife's on Facebook, and these go, "Oh, we got another Trumper." You know, and it's just, you didn't see it coming. Atticus goes through this. I know these people. They're good people. And there are reasons why. And he's an apologist. He's an enabler. And I think there are people in the Midwest between the coasts who don't know anything about it, who don't care about this, who don't have time for this, who have to make a decision now. You have to decide whether, like Atticus, you believe that there is still compassion, decency, civility, respect for others. Do unto others. Remember that? Do unto others. All that stuff you guys believe in, and you still voted not for Hillary or for Trump. Where are you now? Because your kids are looking up at you going, "But he lies." And I think there are a lot of people in the Midwest who are going, it might be enough for them. We're going to find out if the big gamble is to go all the way to November 2020, which I agree, and lose. It's the end of democracy.
One of the people who came to see To Kill a Mockingbird, I think in January, is former FBI Director Jim Comey,
yes,
who is sort of the tip of the spear in this fight between the president and his own Justice Department FBI. I texted him today. I didn't know that he came to see the play and asked him what it means in this moment, and he wrote this. Do we have that to put up? I'll read it off my phone here. First, he said the whole family went in early January. We were so excited to see it that Patrice, that's his wife, fell on the sidewalk, broke her clavicle, and refused to go to the hospital. She held her arm in place during the show. It's the perfect play for our time. It reminds us that people can be deeply biased and flawed, but the truth is a real thing. And our heroes in the long run are always those who stood up for it. The 1,000 little cowards melt away. There will be no plays about the virtue of this Republican Party and its passion for truth. I mean, he's seeing the same parallel. I think anyone who's been in the arena, in the political arena at another moment, can't escape the parallels between all the cowardice of the mob, which is very much a theme.
Yeah, and Sorkin writes to that. I think it's Sorkin who put it in, where Atticus talks about, a mob acts on emotion, absent facts, absent respect for, absent contemplation, and mostly absent responsibility. What they get is anonymity. A conscience can be exhausting. It'll keep you up at night. A mob's a place where people go to take a break from their conscience. And you lay that line out every night, and you can hear them go, oh.
No, you know what they go, ah!
Yeah.
And I was sitting there.
Yeah.
Is that what's happening?
That's what I see when I look at Trump's rallies. That's when I see the lies spewing at these people and people going, I got to believe in something. And he said he'd bring my manufacturing job back, and she didn't, and I'm all in. But at the end of the day, aside from, I don't want to pay taxes, it's race. It's race. This is about the Republican Party, or a wing of it, going, this is our last chance to save the party. And if we don't, it's the end of the Republican Party. And the only way they can do that was to tap the race button and say, go ahead, it's okay. And he did, and they did. And that was the only card they had left to play, and they played it. And they aren't going to go quietly. And that's why you look at the cowardice of the 15 or so Republicans in the Senate who are still quiet. And I'm not talking about Bob Corker and Jeff Flake and who's the other one that went out the back door. Yeah. That's not courage. That's not courage. That's making sure you've got a job somewhere after politics. Courage is standing up and being a true patriot like we used to have way back in 1776 and all of that. We need some. Who are the heroes going to be? Is it going to be the Daniel Ellsberg Pentagon Papers guy? Who's that going to? Who's the guy at the Justice Department that's going to go, here, Washington Post, here's the unredacted, go. I'm waiting for that guy.
We're all waiting for that guy.
We need people like that, and to look at Congress with all their politics going, well, if I do this, I can't do that. You're all worthless to me right now. You are all worthless. I need people to stand up and be heroic. Who are you? Because democracy is at stake.
Wow.
Yeah. I got it. Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
You sure can. The answer is true. It happened.
I got nothing. Wow.
So first of all, you're right about the mob. I attended one Trump rally for professional reasons, and a couple of your points resonate. 10,000 people in the arena, less than 5 people of color. The amount of anger in that room was palpable, even before Trump showed up. And as I said to family members later, these are people you go to church with, that you see in your community, that you would never think would go to this forum and express such anger. But here's my question for you. You argue the case in the courtroom 8 times a week. Does part of you, Jeff, or even Atticus, is there that little glimmer you hope the verdict comes back differently one of these times?
You hope to appeal to the better angel in them, the white Christian farmer jurors that are sitting there that are faceless, but there they are. You hope that there is good, and I think that's when Atticus gets the punch in the face. That, Atticus, there may not be goodness in everyone.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC.
Well, are you applying your better angel? Let's see what you said here. Candace Flower, wholeness and balance, vibration. On the war, among you are poor young people, tricked and sold out. Regrettably, I have to leave. Sarah Webb, I would love to see this play, powerful. I bet you, if you go on YouTube, there's a lot of it there, and I'm sure it'll, usually, there's a website for Lincoln Center that has a video. They videotape every play that's on Broadway. And Angry and Afraid, at the end I saw that written yesterday. Wow, intense. Right. Well, the sad thing is that the end isn't coming anytime soon. I hear all these born again Christians going, "Oh, end times are coming, and I'm going to heaven, and the rest of you sinners are going to hell." Sorry, ain't gonna happen. So, I've been without employment for a good 5 years since I got sick, and most of what I did was working for desperate corporate lawyers and negotiating, stupid contracts that, people, they were being offered hundreds of millions of dollars and they wanted more, so they wouldn't sign. And the lawyer who was put into arbitration couldn't get them to do it, so they called me, and I would use my little shamanic bag of tricks to get everyone shocked enough to go, "Oh, okay, yeah, $140 million is as good as 145. Okay, I'll sign it," And anyway, then I got sick and I couldn't work for about 5 years, and then I started calling my clients back and saying, "Hey, you need me?" And they said, "No, sorry. Oh, we thought you were dead, but you know what? We've replaced you with an app." So artificial intelligence, people think that, robots on the assembly line painting and things. No. Where AI is going, law, medicine, and all those people who spent years, getting their degrees as lawyers and doctors, they're going to be replaced the next 5 years. The other thing replaced, no one will drive a vehicle. We're going to have some serious disruption, and push into a new hegemony, of corporate reality that is transnational, and that, not just in America, but everywhere. And we're going to be, H.G. Wells was part of this, hidden hand. He came from that kind of aristocracy. And when he wrote 1984, he did it not to say, "Oh, watch out for this." He's saying, "This is what I want to have happen." So the only thing that can change this is not any political or blah, 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 blah. No, sorry, that's not it. The thing that's going to change this, so one of my clients called me up and said, "Oh, I need to, rebrand my business," right? Anyway, so he wanted me to figure out, because he kind of has got himself in a corner of success, meaning his business is doing really good, but it's at a dead end, and he realizes this, and he wanted me to figure out how to way to fix that, because I have fixed other things for him. So, your business is, may you be happy. This is the existential vision statement, is the ascendant of your business. To our ego, which falsely believes in structural non-existence, whereas love's spirit accepts with faith that love's creation is all that exists. To have faith in love's miraculous atonement is the only path to heal our sick ego existence. Ego's will sickness is the separation from our true spirit of love. With the belief of ego's will's religious muscle of hate, believing in hate, we hide in darkness, denying that the light of love's miraculous atonement resides eternally within our conscious free will. The will's ego sees our true state as sinners, when the only reality for us is the peace of love's innocent spirit of atonement in one love. The decision to heal will's ego sickness of our separation comes by letting go and accepting love's miraculous atonement. Within the faith of love's redemption, there is an infinite spirit of innocence that recognizes the truth of love's miraculous atonement. The innocently active, still mind sees love's spirit of atonement as all there is. A darkly distracted, separated mind sees only love's illusion of fear and hate as the real world. When we, in every day and every way, realize the symptom of our ego sickness by vigorously moving the custody of our actions through our sacred heart in active collaboration with love's innocent spirit of atonement. Let's see. We will be able to see love's truth reshape our reality. This everyday active collaboration between our sacred heart and the peace of love's innocent spirit of atonement shall take us into egosphere and let go of it by understanding where it comes from and forgive its hold on us with the photonic light of love's miraculous atonement rather than hate's brilliant incandescent darkness. The photonic light of love's truth and the darkness of ego's illusion have no connection, though both can be blinding with their intensity. Every symptom of ego sickness arises through fear and the belief in the separation of hate's dogma of illusion of will's ego. Our lives are filled with useless battles because our minds are filled with useless ego delusion we call thoughts. We carry around these unhappy scenes from our past as if they were still happening. This glut of undigested thought profoundly affects the world we perceive, and the life we live is that of our soul's indignation. Each day, our failure to let go eats up every small chance we have to be happy, for we seem to choose the seeming well-worn comfort of our misery, of our ego's illusion of life, rather than living anew through love's illuminated innocent spirit of atonement, through letting go. Without the loving power of forgiveness, which makes all things possible, we are stuck in a muck of our ego's will separation. Every day, we feel the tug of our loving sacred heart to be free in peace of love, spirit, innocence, atonement. Yet throughout the day, the world urges us to be at war with ourselves and with each other by be resentful about the past, be anxious about the future, be hungry for what we don't have, be dissatisfied with what we do have, be guilty by be important, be bored, be right, be always willfully egocentric. But with love, there is always a new positive beginning, and marriage is a commitment to love's new positive beginning. In every day and every way, you as the individual have the opportunity to share love first with someone unique, and then in celebration of that love, pass it on to the rest of humanity by your actions through love's moment to moment. This is what marriage is about, not to increase the spirit of love, but to share this love as a backbone to the rest of humanity, to follow love as our North Star, to guide as us back home to our loving spirit of innocent atonement. Your vow of love through marriage to all our relations shows our faith, your faith, and love's commitment to love's lineage on into the future. By giving your love freely, you are creating a new environment that is outside the prison cell of your ego. Well, I wrote this for a corporate guy to rebrand his corporation, you know. Yeah, I wrote this, Sarah. Pretty much everything I read to you, I wrote, word for word, right from my heart, right? I would suggest, Sarah, that you go to xratted.blogspot.com, and that's my publishing arm, and I have one of my novels up there. I'm just 3/4 of it. I didn't put the other. Thank you. Because that was beautiful, because I was writing it from my heart. And I wrote that all in one shot last night, you know? Well, I'm not finished. You know, that was just the opener. I have to restructure his whole corporation. That was just the place I wanted. That was the lens I wanted him to look at. Because I'm a strategist, you know, so I'm going to get down to nuts and bolts of his thing, you know. And the corporate guy, you know, 6 years ago, I kind of restructured his everything because, like I said, he had painted himself into a corner. And I restructured his thing and his people and his everything in an extremely subtle way. I mean, I didn't tell people, you got to do this, you got to do that. I went in there shamanically, and he said, well, I'm going to tell her. I said, no. I want you to tell everyone that you've hired me as the janitor. And I went around sweeping the floor and cleaning things and talking to everybody. And that's how I changed his corporation. Right? Now, I did build a big, you know, structural motif for him to subtly implement as I walked around as the, guy sweeping the floor. And I didn't dress in any uniform or overalls. I was dressed like, me, as a homeless guy. And his partner said, why do you got this homeless guy sweeping the floor? He doesn't even do a good job sweeping the floor. Of course, I couldn't, because I could barely stand. I could barely breathe. I could barely see. I was still pretty sick. And he saved my life in that he came and got me out of the school where I couldn't get out of. That was the 6 weeks I got stuck up there in a snowstorm and only had onions and potatoes to eat. And he kind of brought me down and put me in a place where I could stay. And I did. I said, I need you to do this. I don't know how you're going to do it or what you're going to do, but I know you're going to do it. So I did. I spent about 3 or 4 months there on the payroll as the janitor, and changed his corporation. Now he changed it, and it's great. It's humming like a top for the last 4 or 5 years. But he called me up, so I need to come back because I need you to. My success has painted me into a corner, and you told me that was the case, and that I would have to, bring you back. So he did. He's bringing me back. So that's what. So that was the lens. And I've written another 3 pages of structural things. And the history and this and that, and what he wants to do and how he has to think. But I wanted him to have a lens to see what I was saying through, because he's actually, I'm just writing the stuff for him to think about, and then we will go over it and, trim it until it gets to a place where it'll work. I'm still in a, work in progress. I haven't figured out what has to happen. But when I wrote this, I realized that had to, and at the end, when I had to change a little bit of that, because at the end I wrote it as if I was giving a toast at a marriage, and that his thing that he did, his business, is a marriage, right? And the business and his partner is like his wife. So, I just wanted to read you that because, I wrote that in one shot last night between, I started around 4 p.m. I finished around 11. So, and then a friend of mine called me, and that person is an antique person. And so I tried to get her to visualize this business and what it was, and not so much. Because people, again, that thing I just read you, people always view, meaning if people, so I've been involved in looking at trends for the universe for 30 years, and then for a good 10 years, I did it for corporations. And the thing that I saw most vividly, that corporations, governments, you name it, individuals, view everything from their own egocentric point of view, rather than and seeing the other person, the other, as the enemy, the thing that's in their way. And if you look at Agenda 21, the rich hegemony, that 1/10 of 1% who own everything, want to get rid of the rest of the human race because they see them as an obstacle, rather than the gold, in the mine. Humans, we are the great essence, right? So anyway, did I write that? Yeah. Must be a thing. Did the corporate guy? Not yet. Anyway, so what's your feedback, guys? What do you think about? There's only one of you watching. Okay. Now I'll talk for another 10 minutes, see if anybody else shows up. And I really, I really look forward to your insights. And the thing is that majority of the folks, part of it is that the majority of the cadre is from all over the planet. They're not all in, right nearby in the same time zone. So people look at it at different times. And the way I do these things, I energetically put them out so you can watch them at any time. I got more than 600 shows on Dreamy Dreamland with Sensei Al-Bob. And if you watch any of them, and I keep imploring you to go back and look at them, it's like watching it for the first time. That energy is still there. The connective tissue is still there. And that's what most people do. I got close to 40,000 views, and I'm just nudging up to 300 cadre. And that's the story. So the good is that a lot of people are getting, energetically, I can tell that it's affecting a lot of people. 40,000 folks. But, YouTube, YouTube sends me little notes. We see that so many people are viewing it and watching it for the whole hour and a half or whatever period. You're in that highest list of people who get a continued watch of, but you only have X amount. So they're trying to, buy me out with the promise that they'll monetize me in a big way. And I don't care, because I'm doing this to be that pebble in the pond, right? Well, Twitch, the thing you have to respond is your heart and your innocent viewpoint, and just whatever occurs on the channel, respond to it in the depths of your emotion, not from your experiential. Oh, I read this book, or I was there when this happened. No, but how it makes you feel. That's the kind of response I want from everybody in the cadre. It's just your response on how you feel to what we're doing here at the moment, right? And that's kind of why I played yesterday at that thing, that girl who was going on about how she tattooed her eyebrows. She had put that on a few days ago, and she had close to 20,000 views within 2 days, And then you looked at all the comments. Oh, you're so beautiful. I wish I was like you. Oh, it's all of this nihilism and, talking to what I was talking to right there. Eyebrow tattoos, yeah. And I put that up there not to mock her or, but, she has, for however long she's, 2014, her daddy pays all her bills. She travels all over the world. And, like I said, she goes to unbelievable places, but instead of hanging with the indigenous folk or the natives or the people in the neighborhood, she goes and lives in these, gated communities protected by gunned men who, and these things are, put together by corporations like Sandals and Hedonism, where it's like going to McDonald's in all of these different countries. Yeah, nice beach, beautiful ocean, can go out on boats and snorkel and stuff like that. But the real beauty is on the other side of that fence. The real beauty is the people who are living in the little mud hut, who will share what little they have with you if you go to them with an open heart. And that's the experience that's amazing. And when she goes into, like Japan and Europe and industrialized places, these big whoop-de-doo cities, she finds her fan base there, and they go and take her around and take her to this place and this club and this restaurant, and buy her drinks and take care of her and put her up in a hotel. And if daddy's not paying for it, these people are, and they're just it's like being a movie star, and that's what she wanted. She wanted to be that famous movie star, and so she has enough views where she's probably making $1,000 a week off her little challenge channel, or close to it. She's probably making at least 60 grand, if not more, to her thing. And you look at folks like that, and what are they talking about? What are they trying to share, right? And it's good to watch that, not to mock them or hate them or any of the other, but as she is another canary in the coal mine. John, you go look at his child. He's a canary in the coal mine. You go look at his wife, Danica. Go look at her. She is definitely a canary in the coal mine. And John's channel is pretty interesting because there's John, what John does. And then there's me, in the 10, 20, 30 stories that I tell. And on his channel, he's been doing it for, at least 10 years, like 2006. Yes, he's got, 50,000 subscribers, because when he joined, nobody else was on the YouTube, right? And, his biggest thing is Ronald McDonald, right? And then the next one is, how to paint your hubcaps. And the third most of his own production is, how to light a hot water heater. And these are all done, but, the hubcap ones and the how to light your hot water heater is because it hits, he realized, well, if I call it that, the algorithm, most people who are looking at how to, light the hot water heater will come to this. And then you have the old crone, and you have the Jimi Hendrix and the David Bowie and all the shamanic ceremonies I do up in the woods, and a few other stories. And they all have 70 to 100,000 views, And right there on John's channel, you can see the marked difference. So, and I'm just, you're broken up griot Sensei Al Bob. I'm no movie star. I'm no rock and roll star. I am not anybody who wants to be rich and famous, because the universe takes care of me. Whatever I need to kind of, sometimes it gets a little hairy. Right now I have $5 to my name. Now, I've scraped up $20 bill. My car is amazing. I have a magic car. I went to the bank yesterday, and I, look what's in my account at $5, right? And I had $20 yesterday, and I spent most of it on John. And again, I'm going to spend most of it on John today because he wants me to get him something. But I had enough to buy breakfast and lunch. I bought the two most cheapest things they had. So, to $11. I had to stay here and have their YouTube. I've been here now. Let's see, it's 2 o'clock. What time? So 1:18 Eastern Standard Time. I got here about 9. And they don't throw me out. As long as they're not a big crowd. There's nobody here, so I can stay here. And I'll leave a pretty good tip for what meager change I have. And so if anybody, there's only 2 of you. But, I guess I had to start a Patreon account or something. But I've tried, and I can't even do it. I can't even figure out how to do it. I couldn't even figure out. I by mistake turned off my computer, so I had to reboot this channel up on the Chrome. And I know how to do that. But when it does that, it wants me to do all these settings. So I said, I'm going to try. And so it said, do you want to do a new background, on my dashboard? That'd be nice, I was going to take that picture that's in my little circle and put that as a background. And I have a nice picture of me in a little circle. And I couldn't do it. I couldn't actually, I just know how to do it. Whereas as anyone who's younger than 30 has it in their DNA how to run this stuff. Me, not so much. I was talking to that friend of mine that we're old enough. I mean, I'm old enough to remember trolley cars. I'm old enough to remember when the Long Island Railroad had steam engines before they switched to electric. I'm old enough to remember things like that. I'm old enough when Brooklyn got its drinking water from, the water shed of Long Island. But now they can't because they've so poisoned it that, they had to get it from someplace else. So,
how are those desserts? We didn't like them very much.
Back to Eden. What is that? That's a URL to something?
I like it with the raspberry because I'm not expecting.
Or is that your URL? Anyway. So here we are at 41 minutes and 41 seconds. And let's see, Twitchy said, I'm always glad to see you're still kicking. Yeah, I'm still kicking. Yeah. Again, I'm going to be, no matter what. I mean, I was hurting pretty bad in the last 2 weeks. When I got that my jaw got infected and I had to have the rest of my teeth pulled out. And I'm still, fighting my way up from it because it gave me an antibiotic that killed everything inside of me. And I'm just rebuilding the flora and fauna in my body. And that's why I had that bad cough. And I still, have little hacks because I'm hacking up shit from when I was 6 years old. Anyway. But, I'm not dying until I finish what I came here because that's part of the process. When we die, we have this path we can go. You'll either go into the wearing blender of karma and be popped out, reincarnated as another mud puppet. And the problem with that is mostly we are blanked out of our memory. But if we keep going to do what we came here to do, and we do our best, and we don't give up, and we are kind, and we keep at it until we do finally kick off, well, that's when we have that little step up in our ascending conscious free will. It's a out-of-body death experience where this means astral form is pushed out of his body after he has accidentally hung himself. Well, I've died 6 times, so I've had that experience even 6 times, right? And each time I'm like, wow, I'm home, good, I can relax. And they say, no, sorry, buddy. I mean, you can make that choice, or you can go back. Maybe in those 6 times, every time I went back, I was like, took a little notch out of my mud puppet, which was good. Yes, it made me limp, it made me cough, it made me, less of a mud puppet, but it made me more of a conscious, awake individual. And that's what having a out of body death. Now today, right? I go to sleep. I meditate every night. Remember when we go into, when I take you into a guided meditation, we go into there, and one of the first things I have you lean into your Akashic record to eliminate, to evacuate all the anger, the hate, and I do that every night. I just get it out of me, because that it frees my conscious in my imaginary mirror to have conscious dreams. And when you conscious dream, that is very close to, your being dead. Being dreaming is like your body unplugs and goes into the ethereal lands. And most of us don't remember anything of it. Because we did, we start to have to wake up. But if we can eliminate the anger and fear before we go to sleep and all that stuff that kind of clouds our minds. I hate that person. That person cut me off, took my drive, blah, 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 blah. If you get rid of that before you go to sleep, you can have conscious dreaming. You can have, aware dreams, dreams that, you're aware that you're dreaming and you can navigate them. Oh, I want to fly. I want to go here. I want to do that. You go into your superconscious mind. You dream there where all that stuff is to go play in, right? Yep. Life is about being holy, and holy is being awake, aware, conscious, right? Because that's all this life is. This is a sandbox. This is kindergarten. This is how to learn how to play nice with your friends, Woman, movie gets really graphic. Let's see. What was it? What movie were you talking about, Twitch? Twitchy. Older movie. Enter the Void, about a drug dealer getting shot and experience his past and repercussions of his death. Yeah, which is very similar to the Christmas Carol. Dickens' Christmas Carol. It's probably exactly what that movie is. The guy's reliving his past and all the terrible things and what it is. And It's a Wonderful with Jimmy Stewart. It's the same thing. He sees what it would have been without him. And that he thought he was living a quiet life of desperation, never did any of the big things he wanted to do. But in reality, he changed the world by being that little pebble in the pond. Enter the void. Yep. Yeah, we all need a kick. I needed a kick, I needed to die in a plate of spaghetti. And wake up in the ICU with them, putting the magic marker dots on my chest and across my two legs where they were going to chop them off. And I said, whoa, you're not doing that. Oh, you have to sign this. We were going to do it because you're unconscious. And so to save your life, I said, no, I'm awake now. Don't do it. Roll me out of here. See that guy over there? He's waiting for me. He's a really good boy. You touch me without me signing my consent, without me saying do it, I am going to own you. So that's why I didn't have open heart surgery. Everyone I know, I used to work in a hospital. I used to be an MT. I used to, see what and I had loads of friends who were surgeons who would say to me, don't ever let yourself get cut unless your head is over there and your body's over there and they're going to stick it back on. So unless you're that desperate, you should never do this, right? So yes, but we all need a kick in the pants. And if, so one of my kicks in the pants that he's kicking me every day is that I'm a homeless guy. Up until I was 62 years old, my whole life I was living it like a millionaire. I had all the money I ever needed, And then when I worked for Desperate Voice, I excessively had more money than I needed. And that's why I lived a hedonist life for 10 years. Worked only 11 weeks a year and made a 6-figure salary. 11 weeks, 6-figure salary. And, had a good accountant, and I spent it in such ways so I never had to I could legally, not to pay. So... and then, the only thing that was going to stop me living like that was to die. Now, the thing that's keeping me doing these videos for you guys is that I'm a homeless guy. I got nothing else to do. Meaning I haven't got... So this is my first little project, right? And he's come to me in the right time because I have been outside the corporate world for 6 years or 5, and I'm in a perspective to actually do what he needs. If I did this back then, I would have done what I did for him back then, and it wouldn't have been what he needs right now. What he needs right now is to have the lens of what I read you. Okay?
Oh,
So, Eden, we always need to be
But yeah,
kicked in the pants.
I think we just have the internet and cable. We don't have
Yep, I am the man I am today.
But
So, and you know what was really beautiful about my life? I was always the man I was supposed to be at every moment of that time. I mean, look at me when I was 20. I'm way different than, but at 20, I was the guy I was supposed to be at 20. And 25, I was the guy. 27, 30, 32, those were all benchmark years. But I was what I was supposed to be, then. And that's why I am what I'm supposed to be right now. Right? And I'll tomorrow be the guy I'm supposed to be tomorrow. And it'll be different from what I am now. So, anyway, and as my teacher always said, things are as they should be. And you will always you have come to do what you're supposed to do. And we have confidence and a great admiration that you keep plugging, that you never give up, that you're always kind, Yeah, you can be a jerk sometimes. You can be upset sometimes. I'm a human being, So I have those moments. So I'm conscious and awake 80% of the time. The other 20%, I'm a moron. And, up until, last February, I was 80% of the time conscious and awake. 20% a moron, and 2% habitually active. And since February, my biggest thing that I plug away is get rid of that 2% of habitual activity. So I can be that 2% of habitual activity. I'm putting them to the 80. So now 82%. I'm kind of getting to 82% consciously awake. And now I'm only, 18% a moron, And within the construct of the moron, I'm the funny moron. I'm the sweet moron. I am, I'm only the anxious, curmudgeon moron, maybe 4% of the time. So, as long as I can keep those metrics going, it'll be good. It'll be fine. And I'm here to serve you, my cadre. Okay, so we're moving on towards 1 hour. So around 60 minutes and 60 seconds, I will say goodbye. Unless we, get more than 4 people chatting here and, folks make some more. And all of your comments have been valid and really ones that I'm holding close to my heart, And there's, I stumbled across a very interesting website of a channel that shows 30 of the greatest movies. I mean, movies that, not made the biggest box office, but like affected people. Like that play I showed you by Jeff Daniels, To Kill a Mockingbird, that's on Broadway. I worked in Broadway not because I made money, not because I fame and fortune, not because it was my career that I went to school for, and I was schooled by great masters of it. I was Lester Polikoff's best boy. No, I got involved in theater because it touched my heart. The literature, it starts with the literature, the script. And you have a good script, and then you transmit it into theater. And that's what Shakespeare did. He wrote the play, and then he produced it in the Globe Theater. And I had experiences, from... When did I start seeing theater? I saw Man La Mancha. Madame Olga Kluver took me on McDougal Street. There was a little the public theater. And the Man La Mancha has been playing there for like 90 years. And she brought me to see that when I was, 9, 10, 11, somewhere in there. And that was the first real, it hit me like a 2x4 upside the head. Another great play that I saw was The Great White Hope, right? And Stop the World, I Want to Get On. And there were a lot of plays that I was involved with that were like that, life-changing. And this one, it's been going on just for 7 months, and it has sold more tickets than any other play on Broadway. And it's been, this one guy wrote the book, and then they made the movie, and now Sorkin wrote the script for the play. So you can start out with a basic premise and go there. Like when I was in high school, I had a great, I was in this prep school of like 160 kids, and we were the, children of the elite. And there were a few of us that were there because there were elite people who wanted us to go to that school. Not because our parents had the money to pay for it, but because these people controlled that school and said, we want this kid there, so this kid will touch our other children. So I got there. And the guy who ran it was, and it was, that school was a perfect example of unexpected consequences. So this guy started it. He was, a teacher at Deerfield, and, people gave him a hard time. So he started this school for that class of people. And he thought it was his school. He thought he owned it. He ran it. He did it, blah, blah, blah. The rich people gave him the money to do it. The board, they owned it. And so he was doing mostly what those parents wanted of their kids, all through unexpected consequences. So he wanted to stay. He got X amount of money to run the school, and he wanted himself to get 80% of that cash. So he ran that school on the lowest of the lowest ebb. But on the surface, everything looked like super duper. So he hired the cheapest people to teach in that school as he could. And who did he hire but guys who had just graduated from, pretty good colleges, Brown and Tufts and, those kind of schools, and William and Mary. And yet they were, not the top notch. So their parents were really rich, and so they were going to go to Vietnam. So the only way they could get out, they had to do a job that they could get a deferment. And one of them is high school teacher. So they all got a job. So that all these guys who were white, looked really good, were really smart, were top of their classes at these colleges, and were really good at what they did. Literature, this, and they were all athletes, so they were all coaches. Fit that guy's parameter. But they all had been part of the 60s scene. And yes, they cut off their long hair and their beards and went there and played the act. But once they got there, they realized what they were. They were teachers and 160 kids. And we had a ratio of one teacher to every 18 kids. And we went to school 7 days a week. We started at 7 in the morning and stopped at 7 at night. And so the parameters that the state of Massachusetts put on, you have to have so many hours. We had 4 times that many hours. The average kid had to have 400 hours a year to go graduate onto the next thing. We had about 1,800 hours. And that's why we started school in the beginning of October. And we finished school at the end of April because we were going there. And we never went home. We got 3 weeks for Christmas. That was it. The rest, we were there. And we lived with our, they had, school was an old country club, golf course, big building that was a hotel. And then it had these little kind of cabins for the really rich people. So they turned those into little dormitories and little classrooms. And so we lived with our professors, right? So we were still, so they realized, so they could change the world because that 160 kids in another 10 years were going to rule the world, head of all the corporations. I went to, Austin Hearst Enterprises, the media, Ricky Merrill, Eddie Lynch, Alex Orb, family-owned U.S. Steel, Perry Dye, his parents owned Seagram's. it just went on and on and on like that, right? The top 100 corporations, the blue chips, these people, went to Rockefellers, Gettys, Rothschilds. They all went to my school. Kennedy's, Joe Kennedy, who's a congressman now, was my roommate. What a bag of rocks. I used to read all the time. So why do you read all the time? And I said, well, it kind of helps you know things. He says, I don't need to know anything. I'm a Kennedy. That was his response. So those teachers basically had, so we can change the world. We can change these kids. We can change the world. And so this one guy showed up and he had a wife. And this woman was like, hot, every kind of movie you see about a hot teacher in high school, that was this girl. She taught theater and literature, and her husband was a math guy. And he kind of had a nervous breakdown and went off to the loony bin. But she stayed there. She said, no, I'll just stay here. He's over there. I can go, you need, me as a teacher, and I'll teach his math classes. That was my mother. So she wasn't our dorm, but she ran the theater. I'm going to do a theater department. So instead of doing stupid, jokey little plays, we did some really, we did the Dollhouse. It was all boys. So the bravest of us played women. We did Shakespeare. Bravest of played women. And we did a play. We got to choose. She gave us 10 plays to read. And I read this book called J.B., Job, the story of Job. And God and the devil run a carnival. And God sells cotton candy, and the devil has a 3-card Monte. And they're talking, and God's, look at my man Job, isn't he great? And the devil goes, yeah, well, you give him everything, take it away, see what happens. And I played the devil. So I built the, because I'm working in theaters by this time, I built the scenery, do the lighting. There was a theater downtown that had collapsed. I went down there and took all the lighting fixtures and the piano board and rewired it into our, turned our study hall, which was, built to put all 160 or so. So after dinner, we spent 3 hours in the study hall, and 3 teachers would be there. If you had a question on what you were supposed to be studying, and so we never had homework. We just had study time. So, I turned that into our theater. And so this woman was amazing. And she was hot, and all of us were like that. And she was our muse. And it was an amazing experience. So that's where I learned to love theater, from that woman, us doing it. And so we created a art magazine, and we went off to the Columbia Broadcasting contest of secondary and colleges. And we performed our theater, and we put our cultural magazine, which we did for a year. And because they were provocative and interesting, we never published them through our school. We did it outside our school because the guys had so much money, they could do whatever they wanted. And like when we graduated, instead of having a prom or something, Perry Dye bought himself a 727 jet aircraft, and he bought a town in the Dominican Republic, which only thing they had there was a super duper hotel of debauchery. And it was I just went to see John Wick. And there is the hotel in Manhattan. That was what and then they show one in Casablanca. Well, the town and brothel that he bought was one of those, right? And instead of us having we had no women, no girls, so who's going to come to our prom? So we went to that after we graduated. We all went straight from our graduation to to Boston Logan, and his private 727 was waiting for me. The bus took us out to the tarmac. We went up that little ramp, and that little town / hotel slash debauchery of everything known to man was had its own airstrip. It's playing not in the Dominican Republic, right there. We didn't go through any cut. Just that's the kind of money these guys had. So we published this magazine and we put on our theater. And in 1969, we won the total everything for the Columbia Broadcasting thing for secondary schools and colleges. I mean, our magazine and our theater was better than any secondary school or college in our little neck of the, in our little crew or whatever little pond they put us in. Now, we didn't, take that accolade back to our college because we knew our headmaster would get upset because then he'd see what we wrote and what we did and the plays we did and all that kind of stuff. So, what happened was, we went and got that big whoop-de-doo, and that was our junior year. And when we came back our senior year, he had fired all those young, he found out in the spring. They had sent a letter of, congratulations, you're the best. And he saw what we did, and that we did it without his, under his radar. And he fired all those guys without telling them. And he, so he had to send their draft boards a letter. Oh, they're going to be working here next year. Well, early on in spring, he sent all their draft boards. Their contract is canceled. You can draft them now. So none of these guys even knew this happened. So once they left at the end of that semester, they went back to their homes and found that there was a draft notice, not like show up, but, come next Wednesday, go to this place and we're taking over the Fort, what's his name, and getting you ready to go Vietnam. So by the time we got back, and this was the height of Tet and all of that, so they were going, it's like a meat grinder. So by the time we got back our senior year, and we were going to take over the school, we were going to assert ourselves and change that school, all those teachers were gone, all of them. And he replaced them with all his senile buddies from his college days who were just, and so, we were learning Latin, and we were learning, Chaucer, and we were learning, Greek and reading, and we had these people who were like giving us coloring books, and we were so bored. So we just, and by the time Christmas came, all of those guys, half of them had died in Vietnam. 2 of them had committed suicide. So that's, it broke our backs. We were going to change the world. So all these guys just went into, well, screw it. I'm just going to do, double down on what my dad did. I'm going to make even more money. I'm going to just, push this corrupt system off, into the ditch and set it on fire with a bottle of gasoline. And that's where we are now. All the guys I went to high school have done this to our society. Now me, I wasn't, those guys, so I didn't have the access to that. Now I could have gone along for the ride. I could have gotten, early on, I could have gotten a job with any of those guys. I ran into a lot of them in New York. Oh, what are you doing? And I'd show them, well, that's, they would come to my events and my things. And they'd all say, you should come to work for me. It'd be really, and they'd bring me to their penthouses. And then I'd show them my loft in Worcester Street, and they bought out Soho, And that was me then. If was me now, being that guy, I would have gone and tried to drag them back into that place we were when we were juniors. How messed up, exactly. But as my teacher always says, things are as they should be. See, the thing is, we view things as what we think it really is, but all of this is an illusion. We can make it into anything we want. That's why I started Dreamy Dreamland with Sensei Al Bob and started being your griot, telling you stories. Because you, in your everyday, in your every way, you can change the world. You really can. You can be that pebble in the pond. You can make that wave. And you don't have to, be on CNN or be any big thing, but just in the littlest ways, we can change everything. I keep saying we have this 18-month window, for all of these things coming together like this. And after those 18 months, after the election of 2020, it really doesn't matter who wins. What matters is what we do with it between now and then. So, and if it stays what it is, just what it is, well, nothing, no nuclear explosion, none of that is going to happen. It's just going to keep getting crazier and deteriorating and, de-evolving. Remember Devo? Do. Crack that whip. Do. That's where we're now. We are at Devo, de-evolutionary, And it'll be fine because we are already in the Aquarian age. Pretty much everyone's higher chakras are lighting up and their lower ones are not as necessary. The thing is, the transition can either be easy or somewhat abrupt and trying. But it doesn't matter because no matter how many people die or what kind of catastrophe occurs, doesn't really matter because we're all going to end up where we're supposed to. Question is, it's going to take another billion lives of conscious meat puppet, or can we, this is a point, this 18 months is a place we can jump. That's why I'm doing this, because I know if I've been told, last time I ended up in that bowl of spaghetti, I was told, listen, buddy, just keep at it, keep what you've been doing. Don't give up, keep plugging, keep being kind, being that sweet guy, that funny guy. Just keep being you, and it'll work out for you anyway. You'll get that next little step up, so I won't have to go back and be a meat puppet, I'll still be your Sensei Al Bob. I'll just, be sending you the radio signal from someplace like, another place. That'll be a little more interesting. Anyway, and I can go back to playing Go with my master. So, every time I see him, he's got the Go table waiting for me. And, he was one of the folks who greeted me after, when I had spaghetti all over my face. And, the Go table, I said, can we play Go? Not yet. So, do. Crap that whip. I love Devo. Devo and the B-52s were bands that were just what they were supposed to be right then and there. Whereas the Beatles, I was listening to the Beatle channel. Their music is shamanic and built to represent things at different points of time. Same with Jimi Hendrix. Same with David Bowie. Same for a lot of folks. And some people, that music's good, but it's dated. Other people, it is what it is. When you hear it, it's like, whoa. Joni Mitchell's another person like that. So, and Buffy St. Marie. But most people don't know. She's another person who's like that. She's still making stuff that's pretty amazing. So Dragon. What was the thing you were just thinking about? Be a little more elucidating so we can talk about it. 10 years after. Yeah, I like that band. Even Styx has its moments of, and pretty much that music. Crosby, Stills and Nash, that one brown covered album that they're looking like cowboys. That it's dated, but it's still pretty good. And Joe Cocker. I worked at Fillmore East, and this guy, I saw Joe Cocker. Joe Cocker was a make-believe of John Belushi doing Joe Cocker, because Joe Cocker virtually, I worked on a show 3 times with him, and twice he fell off the stage into the audience, right, when they didn't catch him. What am I talking about being the change? What I'm talking about being the change is that in every day and every way, you take love's co-creation and you live your life with it. Not with worrying about how to pay this bill or that bill or, what people think of you or what your job is or, any of the things, you distract yourself with. You lessen, your distractions, And me, I am blessed with this unbelievable torrent of stuff going on in my body because it forces me to always be that better person. Because if I go the other way, I'll probably freaking die. So that's what it's about. So that's what I'm talking about, being the change. We live our lives as example, not as we don't live our life in response. We're not living our life to react. We're not in a reactive mode, and we're not in a diabolically planning mode. Meaning I have I'm a strategist. I'm trained as one. I've practiced as one. I have lived my life doing that as a career part of it. That's the last 40 years of scholarly thing. That was all strategy. How to navigate through the oppression of the scholastic, institutionalized prison as a scholar. That took a lot of strategy. And that 10 years of working in the corporate world took a lot of strategy. That 6 or so years that I was a demography in the corporate world, that took a lot of strategy. That 15 years of being a environmental, political, social, social activist, taking over abandoned buildings and putting 500 families in them and making them legal so they could stay there. Boy, that took a lot of strategy. Developing, collective, collaborative arts projects in New York and re-strategizing culture in New York and the world from being owned by rich people into being there as a vehicle for social change, which it always was, but it was controlled by the rich, the church, the king, and I made it, Again, that had a unexpected consequence of turning that cultural dynamic into a product, into a commodity, and it mass produced it as a commodity. So it still has that, that was almost 40 years ago I did that, 1970s, 70, 80, 90, 2000, 2010, 50 years. And it still has that little ping of the shamanic. So that's what I was doing. I was at the, in that years between 68 and 73, I had my experience of living with all my shamanic teachers while they were alive. And that's crap when I was 8 years old. This is the life we all we can live. Or we can just be a mud puppet, So that's kind of what I'm talking about. Yeah. That's part of it. Okay. So at an hour 20, I've been talking a lot, so it's bringing this stuff up, so I'm going to have to stop talking. So, have you guys interchanged emails with each other? I hope you're talking to each other. On email. And Dragon, you have you've created a website or a YouTube of my channels, like all those little thumb drives you sent me. You got them somewhere where people could see them and access them. Did you do that? I hope you did that. I hope you all do that, you know? So, when I'm gone, when my, you know, because we're all going to be gone. At least this is going to be gone, you know? When my warranty runs out. But I'm not going nowhere until I have completed what I came here to do. So that's why I'm not worried about death. Hey, I've tried it 6 times. So I know it's just like slipping out of a slipper. Chunks. So, slip right by that one. But I'm going to go. Okay? So that was today's. I mean, I have no access. You know, once I leave here, I have no internet. Tomorrow, we will go to the library. I have to keep working on my little piece. So, okay? I'll talk to you later.